Welcome to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome everybody to this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. I'm once again your guide, Andy Curtis. High water levels, cloudy conditions. This has really been the norm so far this summer all across Montana. And I hate to be the one to break it to you, but we have got a lot more rain in the forecast this month. So we'll strap on our hip waders in today's episode and move through the muck of the Magic City, surveying the rain damage in Billings after their latest little bout with some storms. And in more troubling water news, we'll head to one of the state's more popular fishing areas and talk to biologists about why they think fish populations are on the decline. But first, we'll head down to Yellowstone because it is summer, and that means it is tourist season, and that also means park officials are once again begging people to not touch the wildlife. We'll take a look at some of the latest incidents that have spurred this most recent plea for some sort of sanity in our nation's first national park. MTN's John Shear starts things off for us.
Most people who come to the park to view animals do so from a safe distance, but some do not, either out of ignorance or willful disregard for the animals or their own safety.
Every wildlife violation we consider to be serious.
Right now, the park is looking at a lot of those violations, and that's why the park is issuing a call for people to stay away from wildlife.
We ask visitors to respect and protect this place. And what that means is to keep your distance from all wildlife. Watch them from a distance.
There's no place else I know of in North America where you can see the variety and the number of large mammals that we see routinely.
During the Memorial Day weekend, visitors placed an elk calf in their vehicle and took it to the West Yellowstone Police Department. In another incident, a man pushed a bison calf up a riverbank and onto a roadway. Rangers later had to euthanize the calf. Last year, 2 visitors were gored by bison when they got too close.
If any visitor out in the park sees another visitor either hurting themselves, hurting another, approaching wildlife too closely, we would ask them to let a park ranger know.
The park says people are also speeding, and that is dangerous for animals and drivers.
Anytime we go faster than 45 miles per hour in our cars, we actually exponentially increase the likelihood that we're going to hit an animal.
Since May 28th, 2 black bears were hit and killed on Highway 191 in the park, south of Big Sky. An elk and a bison were hit by separate vehicles inside the park.
If you want to speed, Interstate 90 is your place, but not Yellowstone, because it's one of the most wildlife-rich places I've ever been. So your likelihood of hitting an animal is just high.
But there is some good news.
We've been around lots of people watching lots of big animals, and they're pretty respectful for the most part. I mean, once in a while you hear about a problem where somebody got too close, but it's been a good trip, and I haven't seen anybody doing anything they really shouldn't be doing.
Yellowstone National Park is extraordinary because it is wild. It is the essence of wildness.
And that's something the park wants visitors to help protect. In Yellowstone, I'm John Shearer, MTN News.
People who head into Yellowstone's east entrance must pass through the Shoshone National Forest for 30 miles first. Some choose to stay at one of the 9 historic lodges there. Absaroka Lodge owner Craig Kenyon is also the head wrangler on this trail ride. He says this group saw deer, elk, and bighorn sheep, one of the unique experiences his guests enjoy. But in June 2022, Kenyon lost guests because floods in the northern part of Yellowstone, miles away, closed access to the entire park for 9 days.
Well into September, we were still getting cancellations because of the misconception that the park was closed.
But this lodge and several others nearby also had trouble keeping employees who not only work here, but live here in the season.
By the end of July, we were down to 3 people from a total of where we try to run 8 to 10.
The Bill Cody Lodge owner, John Jelk, says he lost 7 employees last summer, 4 leaving in the middle of the night after payday. Most summers they lose only 1 or 2 employees who may be uncomfortable in this wild land. The nearest town, Cody, is 50 miles away, and the nearest city, Billings, is 150 miles away. And there is no cell phone service here. Rob Coe owns the oldest guest lodge on the North Fork, Buffalo Bill's Pahaska Lodge, which opened in 1904, the same year the east entrance opened to horses and buggies only. This lodge is closed to guests now, but Pahaska's cabins and restaurant host Yellowstone visitors May to October.
Last year we were hiring well into August.
Coe says he understands the reasons.
Sometimes it's just general isolation that people can't take.
All 3 lodge owners are encouraged by the employees they have this year. Pahaska is offering a bonus to people who stay all summer, and Absaroka upgraded its bunkhouse.
A good group of kids this year, young adults, I should say, and I'm really hoping that they hang around.
From near Cody, I'm Penny Preston reporting for MTN News.
Unfortunately, flooding is again a problem across the state this June. And as MTN's Charlie Kleps is about to show us, there's a spot near Billings that already got hit pretty hard.
I'm standing on the property of Angel Horses Incorporated. It's a nonprofit that allows troubled residents to interact with horses in hopes of bringing them some happiness. But as you can see, the horses are now living in a swamp after disastrous floods swept over the property, and the owner worries that they might not be able to come back from this. It's one of the worst sounds in the world for property owners. Floodwater running through their belongings, sweeping out everything in its path, just like it did at Angel Horse Inc. on Saturday.
It cleared out of here just about as fast as it came in and just left us with the devastation.
That devastation has left owner Johnny Jonkowski nearly speechless.
This is, I've been crying since yesterday afternoon, almost off and on all day. It's just such a tremendous loss.
Her operation, a nonprofit using rescue horses to help people struggling in life find happiness, is now completely underwater.
And they were all trying to get out of the water on the lip, but they couldn't get there. To see these guys hurting and suffering after we just rescued them from a horrible situation, I hung on the railing, cried my eyes out.
Jonkowski lives on the property, and while all 7 of her animals survived, her home and business operations did not.
So we lost everything you need to run a business. I cried all day yesterday. I'll cry today because I really still feel helpless.
The service helps anyone from cancer patients to elderly people, all of which is completely free to the customers.
It's so much bigger than me. I mean, before it was about me. It was my career, it was my life, it was whatever. This is about everybody else.
And that's why Jonkowski is hoping that somehow her organization will be able to recover.
I mean, I've reached out to some friends and just hoping that the word gets around that Angel Horses is truly, seriously in trouble of going away. And it would be a huge loss to this community if that happened. Huge loss.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
And with that, we come to this week's MTN Outdoors trivia question. And just to be convenient, we're going to stay talking about the Magic City and continue talking about rainfall. So here we go. According to the National Weather Service, what is the record amount of rain that Billings has gotten in the month of June? And here's a little hint for you. The record amount fell back in 1944. Is it A, 7.64 inches, B, 8.45 inches, or C, a flat 9 inches? Think about this one. Maybe head outside, check the rain gauge, and we'll have your wet and wild answer when we come back.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Thanks for sticking around with us. I'm Andy Curtis. And before the break, I asked you today's MTN Outdoors trivia question. And just in case you missed it, here it is one more time. So according to the National Weather Service, What is the record amount of rain that Billings had received in the month of June? Here's a little hint for you. It happened back in 1944. Is it A, 7.64 inches, B, 8.45 inches, or C, a flat 9 inches? If you guessed A, 7.64 inches, then you are right on the money. And get a load of this. As of June 4th of this year, so only 4 days into June, the Billings Airport reported exactly 4 inches of rain, which according to the NWS guarantees a wetter than normal June and at least the 15th wettest June on record here in Montana. So buckle up everybody, because I've got a feeling it's going to be another wet and wild June here in the state. And we don't like water when it's flooding, but fish sure seem to like water pretty much all the time, which is what makes this new information from biologists on the Big Hole River especially troubling, because they're finding fish populations there actually falling here recently. MTN's John Amy has our story.
The Big Hole River, like here at Maiden Rock just south of Butte, is a paradise of fly fishing. But trout numbers in this waterway have been going down at an alarming rate in recent years, and it has fish biologists and anglers very concerned.
I'm very concerned. It's because the whole population is low, and B, we have very few small fish. So the prognosis for next year and the coming years is not very good.
Recent fish counts indicate that the river between Jerry Creek Bridge and Browns Bridge shows little less than 500 trout per mile. The river usually has between 900 and 1,100 brown trout and 350 and 400 rainbow trout per mile.
We've been monitoring the river since the late 60s as far as taking population estimates, and right now we're as low as we've ever been before.
Outfitters and anglers are concerned about the dropping fish numbers.
It'd be, frankly, an economic collapse if this fishery went down, and not just on the Big Hole, it's the whole Jefferson River Basin.
Biologists are worried some sort of disease affecting the fish could be one of the factors responsible for the decline.
Because we don't understand exactly what's causing what's going on, it's very difficult to develop a management strategy to hopefully stop that and reverse that trend.
Outfitters in the region have written a letter to the governor and state legislature demanding research into this issue.
It takes science to figure this stuff out, and there's fish sitting in labs right now that need to be examined on why they died, and if they figure that out, it might move forward on solving this problem faster.
Olson is asking any anglers who catch a fish with lesions or a fungus on them to contact him at 406-533-8451. In Divide, John Amy, MTN News.
So fish need water. I think we can all wrap our heads around that concept. But have you ever wondered why animals don't wear glasses? We ask the tough questions here on MTN Outdoors, and Tanner Saul has the answer.
It's kind of blurry. It's better.
Over 64% of adult Americans need glasses. Even though millions of people need glasses, most would consider their vision to be the most valued sense.
Some of us need glasses at a young age and others don't, and that is probably the case in animals as well.
You've probably described some people as blind as a bat or eagle-eyed, and those can hold some truth.
Indeed, there are big differences even among, let's say, like goldfish. Just some goldfish have good vision and some don't.
If I were to go to the ophthalmologist, I could tell them which lines on the eye chart are blurry. But with animals, there's obviously a language barrier. We can't ask Steve the giraffe if 1 or 2 is better. So scientists like Dr. Caves have to come up with some unique methods to figure this out.
You get a cylindrical tank, and you put an animal in the tank, and then you line the sides with vertical black and white stripes, and you rotate the stripes. And if the animal can see the stripes, it's going to rotate its body to try to stabilize its visual world. At a certain point, you've reached the animal's acuity limit. And so it won't spin its body anymore because it doesn't actually see that there's motion happening.
Even with all these tests, it's hard to discern how each animal perceives vision. For instance, in people, the image projected onto the back of our eye is actually upside down. But our brain then decodes this image so that we perceive it the right way up. And there may be unknown ways animals decode the image from their eyes.
Are there then things in the brain or higher order centers that post-process the image and enhance the contrast or sharpen edges?
So how do we know if they're seeing in 4K or VHS?
In your eye, you have the retina, and on the retina, there's photoreceptors. So you've heard of probably your rods and your cones. If your eye was a camera, the number of photoreceptive cells you have is sort of like the number of pixels in the image.
And finding the key to ways different animals use their vision can enhance our own lives too.
And as we work on miniaturizing camera technology, nature's already done it for us in the form of jumping spider eyes.
One of the primary challenges people face today is the insane amounts of digital information there is. Animals may already have the answer.
I think of a lot of these visual systems as like natural compression algorithms, and they've already figured out how to keep the relevant bits for behavior while getting rid of a lot of the fluff.
It turns out eyes in the animal kingdom are really complicated, but I hope we've given you a little more clarity. In Missoula, Tanner Saul, MTN News.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for sticking around here for this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Now, you know what I always say, right? God made dirt, and dirt don't hurt. Well, not only does dirt don't hurt, but healthy soil is incredibly important to healthy crop production. MTN's Brianna Juneau shows us why.
It's no secret that the key to healthy crop production begins with the foundation. To have healthy soil is to have sustainable agriculture. And the Natural Resources Conservation Service are rethinking soil health with new ideas that producers are beginning to use.
So we're doing a bunch of soil health testing so that we can monitor it over time. And so that's helpful to the producer.
The first soil health workshop by the Natural Resources Conservation Service was held in Great Falls in 2011, where Montana was introduced to the new soil health concepts. The 5 soil health principles are soil armor, minimizing soil disturbance, plant diversity, continual live plant/seeds, and livestock integration.
And so I think that was kind of the start in the state of Montana. And now we have producers all over the state of Montana that are doing this stuff.
I think this year looks really positive from where we're at right now.
Chris Decons, a farmer and producer with land right outside Fort Benton, is on year 4 of implementing the new procedures in a program with the NRCS, specifically crop rotations and the use of a new disc drill and stripper headers.
Oh, before I think we were just a 50-50 wheat fallow system with a shank drill, and now we've gone to where we crop maybe 80% of our farm annually and using a disc drill and different harvesting techniques and different crop rotations.
A stripper header is a type of combine header which removes the grain from the plant, leaving the stem standing in the field, which helps in a number of ways in retaining moisture in the soil, while a disc drill is a type of drill that creates less disturbance in the soil by making a slit instead of digging.
This is what we're to try and improve. We want to improve the biology, improve the habitat for the biology so that we have more pore spaces, so it's not just like these hard blocks.
Having just recently installed moisture sensors last fall, current data supports that integrating principles 1 and 2 of soil armor and minimizing soil disturbance has not only helped the soil retain moisture, but has given the plants an easier time for growth.
So yeah, 63.8 compared to 69.
Within these last 5 years, it's been a very the beginning startup of some of these practices, but I think they're being well embraced by the neighborhood and definitely statewide.
So it really is, it's about everybody. It's about human health and tying human health to soil health.
For more information on the NRCS EQIP program and other information on soil health, visit our website. In Choteau County, Brianna Juneau, MTN News.
The summer is heating up and folks are shedding those winter coats. And so are the alpacas here at Alpacas of Montana in Bozeman.
I used to shear sheep as a kid, and I just had some lady ask me if I could shear alpacas, and so I just tried. I had no idea what I was doing, but fortunately she was like legally blind, so she's like, "You did a great job."
John Gunther's alpaca shearing business may have had a humble beginning, but now he and his buddies are seasoned professionals.
Yeah, it's shearingalpaca.com. For 3 months we're on the road. We start in California and just all over the country.
And now they're here in Bozeman to help out at Alpacas of Montana. Gunther and his crew have somewhere from 70 to 80 alpacas to shear, and you can see them here lined up, waiting patiently for their annual haircut. First, they safely tie down the alpacas.
Because if they jerk or something, they could injure themselves.
They clip their hooves, check their teeth, and then
we'll just try to take the fleece off in one piece and then just trim them up and make them look pretty like poodles.
Even the babies get a fresh haircut on shearing day. But don't worry, because all this fleece gets put to use.
Gets made into fabrics, and then we cut and sew into all these products.
James Budd is the owner of Alpacas of Montana that's been selling their fleece products worldwide for years. But now, they have an exciting announcement.
This Saturday is our grand opening. We're so excited because we've been renting space all over the country for so many years. We're finally happy and proud to have our own spot with all of our own products that we've designed ourselves.
Socks, jackets, scarves, and t-shirts are just a short list of fleece items sold by Alpacas of Montana.
If you wear my socks, you can wear them consecutive days and they don't absorb any foot odor.
But of course, you have the alpacas to thank for that. And Gunther and his crew of shearers who are off to the next job after a long day of work.
I'll jump to the next one so I can always be working.
In Bozeman, Jolie Sully, MTN News.
All right, everybody, that should just about do it for us here this week at MTN Outdoors. Thank you for making me a part of your week. And remember, keep those photos and videos coming of you out enjoying the great outdoors here in Montana by sending them to me at andy.curtis@ktvh.com. And you could see yourself at the end of a future episode just like this. It's time for today's MTN Outdoors brag board. Our video today comes from Eric Jocham in Helena of these minute-old fawns taking a stroll with their mom. This is a great reminder that no matter how cute the animals or no matter where you see them, please leave them be. Until next week, everyone, stay safe, stay dry, and I'll see you out there.